Happy October. Today we are here to talk about all the books that I read in September. I do have to warn you, as always, that my dogs are going to be making noise in the background. That's what happens when you have a 2-year-old Boston Terrier. She just wants to play constantly. So let's go ahead and get started and talk about all the books that I read this last month. So the first book that I read was Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver. This is the second book in a series, the Rose Hill series. I almost forgot. So this book follows the brother of the female main character from the first series. His name is West, and Skylar, who is a country music star that the main male character from the first book is working with on her new album. And I gave this book a 4 stars. I would say that realistically it's kind of like a 3.75 for me, which is too bad because the first book in the series was a 5-star book. I just didn't connect as much to these characters as that first book. That being said, I really did like the story. The kids in this one were adorable, and especially the son. Oh, you guys, if you've read, you know that the son is so freaking cute in this book. And I could actually relate a lot to mainly the male main character, West. He would just do anything for the people that he loves, and I really like that in a lead character just in general, but when it is the male main character, it's even better. So didn't love, but really enjoyed this book. I think that I was anticipating this being, for me, as good as the first, and it just wasn't as much. But I have heard so many people say that they like this one better, so it's just my taste, and that's fine. But 3.75 for this. Book number 2 is A Court of Thorns and Roses. So I think most people know the ACOTAR series. This one has been described as definitely like the one you just have to get through, which it was entertaining, but I do agree with that. I was a little disappointed in the plot of this one. I understand that we're just getting the story going, and I am going to be continuing the series. I'm about to start the second book, and I'm very excited about that. This was a 3-star for me. I found myself not liking all of the characters very much. So if you're unfamiliar, this book follows Feyre, and she is essentially the person in the family that takes care of the family. So her father let all of their money go, her mother has passed away, and she has 2 sisters who are pretty much not helpful with almost anything, it seems. And one day she is out hunting and she sees a wolf, and it's behaving a little bit differently than normal wolves do, but it's still a danger to her. So she kills the wolf, and then come to find out he wasn't your average wolf. And that's all I'll say because I don't want to spoil anything, but it's essentially a Beauty and the Beast retelling with Faye, and this is my first book with Faye in it. I did really like it enough to continue the series for sure, but it just, I don't know, there was something about the love story that just didn't hit in this one for me. I liked other characters more, and I'll leave it at that because I get the impression that they play a pretty big part in the books following, but this love story just didn't grab me. It felt a little like insta love, I guess. Like, oh, we should be together, so let's do it kind of a thing. I don't know, just wasn't my favorite, but like I said a million times now, I will continue this series soon. The next book that I read was Everything We Never Knew by Julianne Hough and Ellen Goodlett. This is a not coming of age, but almost coming into yourself kind of novel. It's not romantic in any way. It's just about the main character really finding herself. She has been working this job that she's really good at, but isn't really fulfilling her. She's married to a man who she loves, and it's clear that he loves her, but there's just something missing in her life. And one day she is accepting an award at an award ceremony through her job, and she hears screaming, and clearly something bad is happening, but she can't figure out why she's hearing these things. It's not happening in the room. And through that, she discovers that she might have some powers that she never knew about. This was very entertaining for me. I tend to avoid books that aren't thrillers or fantasy or romance, and this was a little bit out of my comfort zone because of that. There's a little bit of magical realism, which I really liked. I would give this book a 4 stars because it was very entertaining for me. I really did enjoy her path. The side characters were hilarious, specifically a certain person who helps her. I don't want to give anything away, but it was really fun to read. The 4th book that I read this month is The Clinic by Kate Quinn. This book follows a character named Meg. Meg has a pill addiction as well as drinking addiction, and yet her sister's the one in rehab. You find out that something happens to her sister at the very beginning. It's in the prologue, and essentially Meg doesn't buy the story that the clinic is telling her, so she goes undercover at the clinic to find out what happened to her sister. There are several different characters. You follow Meg's point of view as well as the clinic manager's point of view. Her name is Kara, and I slumped out so hard on this book. And it's not the book's fault. The book is good. I would give it a 3 star. It just took me forever to get through this book, and it's totally a me thing. I think honestly that Wild Eyes really slumped me out for this month. Everything just took me so much longer than it normally does. This took me, I think, like 10 days, which isn't bad, but for me, usually I read a book a week or more than that sometimes too, so it did take me a little bit longer than I would have liked. That being said, I loved this book until the ending of this book, and I of course will not say what happens in the end, but I had all of these theories in my head, as you do with mystery thrillers, and I got some of it right. But honestly, I felt like what I built up in my head was better, or I would have liked better anyways. Yeah, it could have been so much better, I think, which is so, I hate saying anything negative because people put so much effort and time into writing books, and it's something that I could never even think about being so talented that I could do that, but I was very disappointed in the ending of this book, so we'll leave it there, 3 stars. The last book that I read for the month of September is probably my favorite book of the month, definitely my favorite book of the month, and it's one that I made the mistake of looking at Goodreads reviews. I didn't spoil anything for myself, but I did find out that a lot of people do not like this book, and I think that it's a lot of people who have read from this author before because they were comparing it to other books that they had written, and that's great. Like if you have a favorite author and they write something that you're not a huge fan of, understandable. But I had never read anything from this author and I loved this book. So that is Hunt on Dark Waters by Katee Robert. And this is a story about a woman who steals something from her vampire ex and has to run away to a different realm. And she falls through this realm and ends up meeting essentially pirates. And she is given an option: either join the ship, join their cause, or die in the middle of the sea. And so she reluctantly joins. It is a romantasy, so there is a love story. It does get spicy. I think that that's my only complaint, is that once it gets spicy, there's 3 or 4 chapters, I feel like, that are just spice. And I don't have anything against spice. Like I said, this was still my favorite book of the month, but it was like, okay, yeah, we get it. Like, the spice is good. Thank you. Appreciate it. Let's move on now, because honestly, I was interested in the plot more than the spice. So I love, 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 love this book. I give this a 5-star. I will acknowledge that it was probably right book, right time. It's shorter than I would have liked it to be. There are 2 other books in this series, and I'm going to order the second book literally after I finish this video. They do follow other characters though, so I'm a little sad for myself that we may not get to see the main characters of this book very much in the next 2, but I did skip ahead. I know who the second book is about, and I know who the third book is about, and I gotta say, I'm very excited for the third book. Like, very, very excited. So that is my September reading wrap up. I hope that you guys had a wonderful September. I hope that you have a wonderful October. Hopefully you are reading some thrillers, some romantasy, literally whatever you want to read. I hope that you find several 5-star books, if not all 5-star books this month. I know, hard to imagine that happening, but it can happen. It can happen for you. I believe in you. So let's have a great October, you guys. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.